Hello there, Logic Language Learners. Okay, so same as normal. If you find this video useful, can you please subscribe? Can you click like? And by all means tell other people about it. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments underneath, or you can email me directly, the same as about private tuition, at LogicLanguageLearning, so LogicLanguage learning, Learning, at gmail.com. Right, so today's video was a requested video. Can't remember the name of the guy who requested it. Was it Phil? I apologise, I will attach that underneath. But the video is about the verb to sit. Okay, so there's two ideas to this video. The first one is how the verb to sit works differently in French, and the second one is how the verb to sit is a pretty rare video in French, is a pretty rare verb in French, because there are multiple forms, which is pretty rare indeed. So let's first talk about the verb now, because this is such a complicated verb. Okay, so for example, there's two forms of the present, and there's three forms of the future. I personally only use one for the present, I personally only use one for the future. I'm going to copy paste the entire verb table underneath in the comments, okay? So this video isn't about visually learning those forms, okay? It's just about how to use the verb in a normal context, and then just so you're aware of the different forms, okay? So, first things first. The verb is s'asseoir, okay? S'asseoir. What do we notice, first of all? We notice that it is a reflexive verb. You are sitting yourself down. Okay, so this is really rude, I apologise. Take your hand, touch your ass. Okay, the verb is about sitting your ass down, okay, or your derriere, whatever you want to, your bum, whatever you want to call it. But the point is you find it from the word ass. Now the reason I'm saying this is because the verb, okay, is the process of going from standing up to sitting down. Okay, that's what the verb is about. The verb is about that process. So for example, we say in English, oh, I was sitting next to this lovely woman at the wedding and we spoke for an hour. Or, you know, I was sat next to this lovely woman. So we use to in English, okay? And if you think about it, sitting is actually the verb form, isn't it? It's the gerund. I was sitting would be the same as I was eating. So it means you're still in the process of doing it in French. So basically, if you're doing this verb in any tense other than a past perfect, finished, or a had tense, it's kind of still moving. You're kind of still in the process of sitting down. So we'll come on to that in a second. So let's talk about how we use the verb, and then we'll talk about the different options. So it being reflexive, okay, it being reflexive, let's look at the past, because that's the main one I want to focus on. It being reflexive, and if we went in the past, and if you don't understand this, then can you please look at the video which explains this? We need the poetry past method. So if that doesn't make sense to you, can you please go and look at the video on reflexives in the past? But a very quick recap, if you have a reflexive video, if you have a reflexive verb, and it's going in the action past, we need what I call the poetries. So je me suis, tu, t'es, il, c'est, nous, nous sommes, vous, vous êtes, il, se sont. Now your past word, okay, is assis. Okay, assis. So, if we went strictly on this method, I sat down, which would mean at the end of that action, my bottom was on the chair, or on the floor, or on the field, or whatever we're sitting on the person. Je me suis assis. So let's have a look. So, je me suis assis. Now, those of you that are using the oral method to find liaisons, suis, the vowel carries on, and assis, we've got vowel, vowel. And when we have vowel, vowel, we use the us and them method. Again, if that's not something you're familiar with, please go and have a look. So this basically reminds us why we say things like je suis allé, rather than je suis allé. Now je suis allé is completely acceptable French, and some people don't do the link, the liaison as it's called. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to, rather than finding it with the S and the A, rather than visually reading it, which you know I don't like, you can find it from the fact that your mouth is going je me suis, which is a vowel, a double vowel, double mouth open. And when your mouth is open 2 words in a row, if you are an I, a you, a we, and an us, you're going to use the z sound, and if you're a he, she, and a they, a third person, you're going to use the t sound. So enough on that, but if that interests you, go and look at the video on the dinner table method, which is up there. I shall pop a link to it as well underneath. So I sat down is going to be je me suis assis, or je me suis assise. Obviously, if you were feminine, e would be on the end. Je me suis assis. So je me suis assis. So yesterday, I sat down, I drank a cup of coffee. Hier, je me suis assis, j'ai bu une tasse de café, whatever, okay? J'ai bu un café, j'ai pris un café, I took a coffee, okay? So, that is the past word, assis. Now, next idea. Notice how very often we use a past word to make an adjective. It becomes a description. And it's often a past word of a verb someone else has done. So, for example, to tire means 2 things in English. I'm tiring, sounds a little bit heavy, a little bit literary, a little bit formal, means that, oh, I am the person that is getting tired. But it also means to tire other people. So he tired us, or he tired us out, walking us around Snowdonia, for whatever. That's me with other people. So the fact is, to excite means somebody else excited. So the past word would be he excited us, telling us about his stories, telling us his stories. I am excited. To calm. I have calmed the situation. I am calmed. We wouldn't say in English, we'd say I am calmed. I'm calm. But you get the idea. There are these verbs where you want to describe the situation, so you're going to use the past tense of the verb. This is exactly the same thing here. So if you said I was sat, or I am sat, you're going to use this assis word. So for example, I was, j'étais assis, or j'étais assis, opposite my good friend Véronique. J'étais assis en face de ma bonne amie Véro. Okay? So, yesterday I was sat at the office waiting for... Hier, j'étais assis au bureau en attendant, whatever, waiting for. So the point is, if you hear I was sat, you think, oh hang on, the verb to sit, s'asseoir, I need this in the was form. Like manger, je mangeais, s'asseoir, je m'asseyais. No, you don't need this verb in the was form, because you weren't, because that would be saying, yesterday I was sitting when I realised there was no chair and I fell on my ass. Okay, so remember, whilst you're still doing this verb in any tense other than a complete tense, your bottom is on its way down. To sit is the process of sitting down. Okay, I was sat is adjective form of sat on the end of the verb to be. J'étais assis. Lovely. Okay. So you're going to sit with somebody is either you're going to be sat with somebody, listen to it, sat, it sounds past, or you're going to sit down, whatever. So next form, next thing we need to know. It's obviously a desperately reflexive verb, so it will change every time. M'asseoir, t'asseoir, s'asseoir, nous asseoir, vous asseoir, s'asseoir again for the they. Okay? So I'm going to sit down, je vais m'asseoir. Tu vas t'asseoir, il va s'asseoir. Lovely. Okay? So, next thing that I want to deal with this absolute giant verb. In the present tense, we have 2 forms of this verb. Now, I'm just going to start all of this and say, you know I despise overlearning, you know I hate when people walk around with information rather than using it, so I'm telling you that as a personal choice, and if I'm really honest, the one that I hear a lot more often spoken in current French is the first form that I'm going to deal with. So if you look now at the comments underneath, okay, we have, so the verb is s'asseoir, but the form that we're going to use is je m'assieds. Tu t'assieds, il s'assied. Yeah, so have a little look at that, okay? So I made some notes on what I'm doing in this video because it's such a long verb. Where are we? I was going to talk about it. Yes, I'm talking about that one first. So, let's have a look. So, assieds, je m'assieds, je m'assois. Now, those of you that have done the subjunctive, if I asked you to list the subjunctive of be, or even let's start with see. So vois, 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 voyons, voyez, voir, the verb to see. Change it to an S, which those of you who've done that video, you should have by now if you're looking at this, is the subjunctive be. So soit, 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 soyons, soyez, soit. And all we're basically doing is putting an additional AS before that. So assois, 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 assoyons, not soyons, yeah, not soy sauce, or, you know, now I'm saying it the wrong way, assoyons, assoyez, assois. So it will be everything that the verb to be in the subjunctive would be. Okay, now, this is where the most common one gets difficult, okay? Because we've got assieds, 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 nous asseyons. Okay, so we have this double S going on again, which you know from the S sound, because as you know, a Z in French is one S, and a S is two S's, okay? I always say, remember that from the verb poser, to put. We also have mettre, but poser works as well. You can hear the one S sounds like a Z or a Z if you're an American listener. Okay, pousser, okay, to push. Also practicing that OO, that monkey mouth. We have the double S, so pousser, okay, finissons, we finish, double S. Choisissons, we've got a Z, then a so, we've got a Z, we've got a Z. We've got a one S, we've got a Z sound. We've got one S and then a double S, okay? So je m'assieds, tu t'assieds, il s'assied, the normal pattern. Okay, D, D, D. Essayons, essayez. Okay, now, where am I going? Je m'assieds, what am I doing that I wanted to show? Yes, so this is the one that we use more often. Okay, I personally feel that we use. So in answer to the question that people go, oh, I'm seeing two forms of the verb to sit. Okay, we also hear the imperative, which is the command form. So assieds-toi, sit down. Okay, so as you know with imperatives, with commands, if you've not done that video already, have a look. But imperatives are basically the U form. So in an A verb, so mange, you will have the imperative would drop the S. In soft hard verbs, in verbs that are just not, I hate to say it, but ER verbs, A verbs, you're going to still use the normal form with the S on the end, okay? So for example, that would be assieds, and because we've gone sit yourself down, because we've put an object at the end, well in this case, a reflexive subject, but yeah, assieds-toi, sit yourself down, we always have a hyphen. When we invert anything in French, that means put things the other way around, we always have a hyphen. You know, even if we said, you know, have you spoken, we'd have a hyphen tu parler would carry on as normal. Okay, so we hyphenate, that means put a line between the two. Okay, when we invert. Okay, so let's just give some commands. Assieds-toi, sit down. Asseyez-vous, sit down, which you'll have heard of. Okay, asseyez-vous. Now, what else did I want to go over? Such a long verb. I've covered the present. I've covered the oh gosh, yes, right, carrying on. So, what are we've done? So yes, the present will be assieds, assieds, asseyons, asseyez. So in the same way traditionally with soft and hards, the bottom three will be the hard, will be the same. Okay, so we've got the AWS assey like this. So this pattern here will be assieds, 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 asseyons, asseyez, assey. Okay, now. But with the reflexive. Now what we're going to look at, it's such a long verb. Okay, is given that we have such an odd infinitive, how do we find the imperfect? Okay, how do we find the